Hello, and thank you for exploring Lakehead International's videos. My name is Jordan, and I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I'm also the host of the Lakehead International Live series, a fun and informative way for you to connect with current international students, professors, and ask questions about admissions and everything Lakehead. You are about to watch a recording from one of our previous live sessions. If any questions arise throughout the video, please do not hesitate to comment below. If you would like to check out some of our upcoming live sessions, please head over to our website at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. Let's begin. Good morning and welcome to another Lakehead International Live, or should I say good evening or good afternoon potentially. Thank you for joining us. Today we're doing an in-depth session with Applied Life Sciences and Biology. So we are joined by my co-host Patrick Carr, as well as a chair and professor for biology, Dr. Azim Mallik. And we'll be chatting all about the program in the Department of Biology, as well as Applied Life Sciences at both the undergraduate and graduate level. We're going to dive into quite a bit here today. Before we get started though, I would like to start with introductions, and I'll start with myself. For those of you who haven't joined one of our Lakehead International Lives before, my name is Jordan Ball. I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I help run our live events, our digital experiences, our social media channels, and do digital marketing, all that sort of stuff. And it's my pleasure to be here to help you answer questions about Lakehead, but also help guide you to your higher education journey. Next, I'll pass it over to Patrick to chat and introduce himself.
Hi, Jordan. Thanks for having me again. My name is Patrick Carr. I am one of the many international recruitment officers here at Lakehead University. My role at Lakehead is to talk to all of our applicants and potential future students about the options at Lakehead. And I tend to work with students who are located in the Middle East, Africa, or the Caribbean, but I'm happy to be here today to talk to all of the potential students who are joining us.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Patrick. You're certainly a wealth of knowledge. So for our students, when we get into the questions and throughout today's session, Patrick will be working behind the scenes answering your questions, as well as during the Q&A period, we'll all be helping pitch in to answer and address those. Next, I'll pass over to Dr. Malik for his introduction. And Dr. Malik, just to note, your camera is off right now and your mic is probably muted.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, good to go.
Well, good morning from Thunder Bay here, and good afternoon or good evening wherever you are. My name is Azim Mallik. I am the chair of biology department. I'm a professor of plant ecology. I would be happy to answer any questions you have after we introduce the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies, and particularly the Department of Biology, what we do, what facilities we have, what learning opportunities, job opportunities we have after you graduate, where you can be employed, etc. So after this brief introduction, I think Jordan will introduce you to the faculty and the department.
I certainly will. Yes, thank you for that. And to note to our audience, of course, due to the pandemic, we're all working remotely right now. So if you do hear any noises that maybe are not so familiar to an office environment, I myself have pets, 2 dogs that sometimes get real excited and like to bark in the background. So I'd like to pre-apologize if you hear that, but we'll do our best to motor through and give you a great presentation today. So on that note, I'll chat about what we're going to cover, what our agenda is. So we're going to dive into upcoming events. I'll chat a bit about that. I'll do a brief overview of Lakehead University, just so you know a little bit more about us. And then I'll pass it over to Dr. Malik to chat about Applied Life Sciences and Biology at Lakehead, chat about the program offerings, the program structure, unique learning opportunities, success stories, career opportunities, as well as an outstanding alumni feature. So we have quite a bit to cover today. And don't forget that we do have an open Q&A period, a question and answer period at the end of today's session. So please stick around and hang out for that. If you have questions throughout the webinar, you can certainly submit those using the Q&A function, and Patrick will be answering those behind the scenes as well. On that note, I'll chat about some of our upcoming events. So similar to today's event with an in-depth session with applied life sciences and biology. We will have a few more in-depth sessions, one with economics, one with nursing, and another with psychology later on this month. So next week on Wednesday, April 7th at 9 a.m., we are doing a session with economics, and we'll be joined by a faculty member from that department. And then, of course, as I mentioned, upcoming after that does include nursing and psychology. You can register for any one of these sessions online at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. As a part of our Lakehead Explored series, where we dive into the supports and services on campus and how to get involved as a student, next week, we aren't coming back on our typical Monday, but we're back on Tuesday, April 6th at 9 a.m. for a session with Jennifer Hay, our immigration advisor, for applying for your student visa. So we understand that as you receive your Lakehead University offer of admission or letter of acceptance, you're ready for that next stage of preparing for your journey to Canada. And an important stage of that is securing your student visa with the Canadian government. And so on that note, we are going to guide you in that process, walk you step by step how to apply, and then give you some of our tips and tricks. Again, you can register for that session online at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. Some of our other upcoming sessions include a getting involved in student life, where we'll really dive into all of the extracurriculars at Lakehead. We also have sessions for student supports, residence and dining, and meeting your future international advisors. So plenty to cover. Our sessions do run until the end of May, and then we'll pass it over to our International Student Services team for some more transition webinars to help you prepare for your journey to Canada. Things to remember throughout today's session: if you like what you see, that's great. We will be sending out a link afterwards for the recording. So it typically takes a few business days for us to get the recording up on our YouTube channel, edited and whatnot. And then you can watch it after the fact if you have to head out early, if you join late, if you just want to watch it a second time to learn a bit more or catch that extra detail, we encourage you to do that. If you do have questions throughout today's session, you're joining live, you can use Zoom's Q&A function to submit those questions, and we'll be happy to answer those. If you're watching this as a recording, so you may be joining us on our YouTube channel, you can certainly comment on that video, and we'll be happy to answer after the fact as well. And last but not least, I want to remind you to stay connected with us, follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Lakehead International on both Facebook and Instagram. I'm always posting about important updates, announcements out of the university, but also future webinars that you can get involved in, as well as that insider sneak peek of Lakehead University. So on that note, I actually want to welcome you to Lakehead, and I want to chat a bit more about our institution and where we get to call home here. Lakehead University is a public Canadian institution in Ontario, Canada. We do have two campuses, one in Orillia, Ontario, which is central Ontario, and one in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is northwestern Ontario. We also have a partnership with Georgian College, and through that, we technically have a third campus in Barrie, Ontario, which is just 30 minutes east of Orillia. And with that being said, chatting a bit about Lakehead and who we are, we do have over 8,000 students studying at Lakehead University, with nearly 2,000 faculty and support staff to help you in that journey. And we are also recognized within Canada as the #1 undergraduate research university. For 5 years in a row, we had that recognition between 2015 to 2019. It really speaks to the high level of research that we're doing, but also the involvement, the amount of money that we're investing in research, and more importantly, investing in our students being involved in that research. If you visit larger institutions, you certainly will have students involved in research at higher levels, the graduate levels, master's and PhD, and they're working directly with professors. But the unique thing with us here at Lakehead is that we aspire to have all of our undergraduate students involved in research capacities throughout their entire 4-year undergrad or 3-year undergrad, technically. We're also recognized as the top Canadian university under 10,000 students in the entire world. That's a recognition by Times Higher Education as of 2021, so it's something that we're very proud of, that recognition. Times Higher Education also ranked Lakehead in the top 100 universities and institutions around the world for their impact rankings, so we're very proud of that. We are also recognized by Maclean's Magazine, as Canada's top 10 universities in the primarily undergraduate field. So some of our most proud and shining moments in our recognitions that really speak to the offerings we have at Lakehead. On that note, though, speaking about how we achieve these recognitions, we understand that with small class sizes, 15 to 1 on our Thunder Bay campus and 13 to 1 on our Aurelia campus. And for those of you who are wondering, the 15 is the number of students and the 1 is the professors. So for every 15 students or 13 students, depending on which campus you join, we have 1 professor dedicated to that grouping. And so with that being said, we understand that that small class size experience, as well as many of our supports and services, also tie very closely into our employment rate. Our employment rate after 2 years of graduation is 96.7% for graduates. It is significantly higher than the Ontario average, as well as the national average for public universities within Canada. And so it's something that we're very proud to talk about. And last but not least, since we are hosting an international webinar, I would be remiss not to mention that we are very proud to have over 70 nations in Lakehead student body represented on campus, and bringing that diversity and that culture to Thunder Bay and Aurelia is really important for us. So hopefully one day you'll be able to join us and add to that number as well. And on that note, I'll dive into the academics of today's presentation, where we're really going to dive into all of the faculties and more specifically science and environmental studies. So for those of you who don't know, we do have 10 academic faculties. We have business administration, engineering, science and environmental studies, natural resources management, education, social sciences and humanities, health and behavioral sciences, law, medicine, and graduate studies. You might be wondering, of course, today we're going to talk about biology and applied life sciences, and more specifically about science and environmental studies. But I mention this because there are opportunities within many of these faculties to also complete minors or additional certificates while still pursuing your degree within the Department of Biology. And so with that being said, we'll pass it over to Dr. Malik, who's going to chat more about applied life sciences and biology here at Lakehead University.
Hello, again. The biology department at Lakehead University offers quite a good range of academic experience as well as experiential learning. In this slide, what you see is some kind of collection of aquatic animals, insects, algae, etc. So we offer, because of our location right beside the largest freshwater lake in the world, Lake Superior, and also in the boreal forest, we are able to go to natural areas much more quickly and conveniently than any other universities in Canada, because we are right into the boreal forest or beside the Great Lakes. And also, in addition to this aquatic research, we do forest ecology, disturbance ecology, wildfire impact on forest, and how plants regenerate after fire or hurricane or flood, etc. A discipline that I research on. We also have a wide range of laboratory experiences, such as we have cancer research, we have microbiological aspects that we cover. We have immunology, ecology, and evolution. So we have wide range of courses, as well as experience for you to achieve some hands-on training, whether in the lab, microbial techniques, microbiological techniques, or in the wild, or in the managed ecosystem in the outdoor. Next, I think Patrick is going to show some slides in our other campuses. We have this campus, Georgian College, which is in Southern Ontario. Lakehead and Georgian have joint programs. There are a number of programs, but one in particular is what we call APLS, Applied Life Sciences. And this is a very fast-growing, extremely popular program. And one can transfer from college seamlessly to the university. and then can carry on higher level research. And as I say, sky is the limit. You can obtain your undergraduate degree, and then you go on to your master's. We have master's program here, and also PhDs. So this is another option. People can come at a college level education and then can get transfer into the university, and we have that option open.
For sure. And on that note, something that we like to talk about, especially with the Lakehead Georgian degree, is essentially what we recognize as the offerings as the best of both worlds, as we like to phrase it, is that a student in this program with Lakehead Georgian will graduate with both their degree and diploma in the 4 years. So after 4 years, the student will have an honors Bachelor of Science degree in Applied Life Sciences with a specialization in biomedical techniques as well, and that will be from Lakehead University. And they will also graduate with a biotechnology health diploma from Georgian College. So they'll be able to couple both of those degrees and diplomas in the career field if that's where they choose to go immediately upon graduation. Whether they're ready to move into a job right away, they can use both of their degrees and diplomas to their advantage. But like Dr. Malik mentioned, if they're ready to move into the next level of education, potentially a master's program here at Lakehead University, I did receive actually an email leading up to today's session asking more about zoology and whether or not we've had students go into that area of study, and we certainly have. And we actually have a feature from a student who is pursuing animal services and animal care upon her graduation from biology at Lakehead University. So it's very a wide variety and lots of paths essentially to go down. I don't want to get into that too quickly though. We definitely have a slide for our career opportunities, and we'll chat about those different paths. Before we get too far past this original slide, Dr. Malik, I wanted to ask a few questions so that the audience can also hear from you. At the undergraduate level, we offer essentially two different main programs or disciplines, which is biology and applied life sciences. But could either you or even Patrick elaborate on some of the specializations and concentrations that students can complete within the program at the undergraduate level, and then we can chat about graduate after this as well?
Yes, they can, because there are all kinds of opportunities to get involved at an undergraduate level. One is throughout your career, right from first year to the fourth year level, you can work with a professor in a lab, and you can enroll in what we call internship, which is equivalent to a course where you can get practical training on any aspects of lab or field-oriented research. That is one. Second, you can do your honors thesis, undergraduate honors thesis, where you can do a full course equivalent completed. And this is a year-long course, and you get credit for one full course equivalent. And then there you do research, you learn research techniques, and you work with a professor as a mentor, and then you write a thesis. You know how to, you get to learn how to critically search literature. You can learn, and you need to learn how to comprehend all these publications that you have in your field, and then you learn how to write scientific report, and you ultimately write your honors thesis. In this case, if you do really well, which some of my undergraduate students are able to do, you can actually publish your discovery that you write in your thesis in international journals. And I just had one student who published an international journal after doing his honors thesis, and he did the fieldwork in Newfoundland, which is our island province here. And so there is opportunity that you learn, research as an intern, as well as you can do your own research as an undergraduate researcher under the care of a mentor, a supervisor. And then that will give you an experience of how to conduct research for master's degree, or you can go and be employed as a research assistant somewhere in a government lab or private lab or anywhere you wish to go. And then you can carry on your education for master's or PhD. Some of my honor students who started as an intern or a summer student, for example, and then got interested, finish his honors degree, get on to master's degree, and one of them actually graduated last year with a PhD. So as I said, sky is the limit, and if you are interested, if you are keen, and work with somebody that has similarity in your interest, and you can achieve a great deal, and you can have a career.
Certainly. So what I gather from that essentially is the importance to note that students that are interested in doing extracurricular research, potentially, or even as you mentioned, the internship, that they have a variety of professors that they can work with that are coming from different areas or different disciplines. And so that actually in itself will allow them to specialize and focus in on area of study that they're passionate about. Right. At one of the next slides during the undergraduate at a glance, which we'll get to in a second, Patrick will also cover some of the recognized concentrations and specializations that students can graduate within the program. So on that note, I guess we'll chat about this first. Dr. Malik, I'll pass it back to you, to chat about some of the first year courses our undergraduate students will complete in the program.
Right. As you can see in this slide, it's a busy slide, simply because we have a lot to offer at an undergraduate level. So what you have here in Applied Life Sciences program, we call it APLS, which is an Applied Life Science program. So in the first year, you take Biology 1110 and Biology 1130. These are animal biology and plant biology respectively. And in that, you do anthropology also at a first year level. You do first year level introductory chemistry, 2 courses there. You do physics, another 2 courses there. And then you do mathematics. So these are your first year applied science level courses. And then in biology, you do this the same 2 courses. If you are willing to go to biology stream as opposed to applied life sciences, then you do biology first year, for example, the same courses as one does in life sciences. Biology 1100, 1110, 1130, the same 2 courses, animal and plant biology. Chemistry 1 and chemistry 2, introductory courses, math, and then calculus. The difference here is that math and calculus is going to be a bit different than this applied life sciences. So there is slight difference in the mathematics first year courses when it comes to applied life sciences, and you have anthropology, and there are all kinds of other elective courses you can take if you are interested in other things. And you have for learning language, we have first year English course, for example. You have other non-biology electives. It can be psychology, it can be photography, it can be but those things are listed in your calendar. But these are the ones that I'm listing here are the ones that you have to take, and there are others that you can take as a credit but they're electives.
So, something that we like to talk about, of course, in that introductory or that first year is that typically within most programs in the first year, specifically applied life sciences and biology in this case, it's very important to establish that foundational knowledge. And listed, as you can see, are some of those required courses that will help build that foundational knowledge, which will then be applied in your further years, so year 2, 3, and 4 at the undergraduate level. Things that you learn in your first year, it's very important that you establish that knowledge so that you can apply it in further courses. And like Dr. Malik mentioned, then there are opportunities to essentially take electives or passion courses. So they could be closely related to the sciences, or they could simply be related to an area of study that you're also interested in. And that's where I had mentioned potentially doing minors or certificates with other programs. I'm a proud graduate of our business program at Lakehead. I won't hijack this webinar though and chat about business, but I would certainly recommend for our students to explore those options, because we're recognizing also that no matter what career path you're going down, you're also, if you have that, some of those business skills or the general business operations and that understanding, it can also help in whether you have a dream potentially to open your own company one day. One note here is also that on our campus in Thunder Bay, we do have an ingenuity space, which is the essentially a maker space, and also a incubator, a business incubator, where you can receive funding from Lakehead University to launch your own business. So that's as much as I'll go into that, because we have so much to talk about within labs, both in the facilities on campus, but also in the beautiful nature that surrounds us. Before we do that, I'll pass it over to Patrick to chat about some of those specializations and concentrations within our programs at the undergraduate level, and then we'll briefly chat about our graduate programs too.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. You know, the biology degree, a science degree, is actually very flexible in a number of ways, which we've talked about. But another way it can be very flexible is that you can actually combine it with a major in chemistry or geography, environmental studies, or even outdoor recs, parks, and tourism. So ways to do dual, you know, 2 different majors while studying biology. And in terms of concentrations, the faculty offers a biology program with a concentration in animal sciences. You can do a concentration in biodiversity and conservation. You can do a concentration in plant sciences. And then lastly, a concentration in neuroscience. And students often ask us why you would consider doing a concentration. And it really is about building potentially foundational knowledge for your career and the career path you kind of see. Or in some cases, like say neuroscience, I know many students of biology have aspirations on getting into the medical field. And so it's a great way to focus your studies on courses that are relevant to your potential career or graduate studies, whatever pathway you're kind of pursuing. So there's lots of flexibility, lots of different options. And our faculty and our faculty advisors are always happy to help students figure out kind of what their passions are and guide them in the choices that make the most sense for them.
For sure. And that's why we also encourage, so in your first year of biology or applied life sciences, as you learn some of these foundational topics, we hope that you come into these programs with some of that knowledge, but bringing that passion is so important, because it will allow you to identify areas of study that you really excel on and you're really excited about to learn more, or you excel in it. And so with that being said, being able to concentrate your studies, also that hopefully in return will mean that you are achieving more academic success, which in turn, if you plan on doing another degree, continuing education, doing a professional program, you can certainly use that high academic success to secure a seat or a spot there. And with that being said, we'll chat about graduate programs. I think it's a great segue into that first year at a glance for graduate program. So we do have a biology program, a Master's of Science in Biology. I'm going to pass over to Dr. Malik to chat about what students joining that program can look forward to, and sort of what their first year looks like as a student at Lakehead University.
Right. Thank you, Patrick. Jordan. We have MSc biology program in our biology department, where we have, this is a 2-year research level master's degree program thesis-based master's degree program, where we have the students usually comes with an honors thesis in their BSc, but also non-thesis students can also join in the master's program, which is a 4-year degree. So you can do 4-year undergraduate with or without thesis to get into master's program, but with thesis, you bring this undergraduate level research experience, and that helps you a lot to get to the master's program. And there you have 3 half course equivalent, or what we call 3 FC half, 1.5 FCE. In other words, 3 half courses. One would be biology graduate seminar, and actually the name is the name of that course is Communicating Science, one that I developed and have been teaching for a long period of time. This is a course that teaches you what you should know and how you should communicate your research to the public. And essentially, it is a science communication course that all biology students must take in their first year. And then the 2 other courses are going to be recommended by your supervisory committee. Usually for your thesis-based master's program, you have a committee consisting of your supervisor, thesis supervisor, and 2 other professors that together will guide you to conduct your research. So supervisor is the main guide, and the other 2 persons will help you to articulate your research and monitor your progress as you are going through your research. And ultimately, when you submit your thesis, they are going to be internally evaluated by this committee, and then it goes to external for a review. And then when the review comes, a favorable review comes, you modify or if there are any comments, you address them, and then you submit your final thesis, you get accepted, you get your degree. And so this thesis-based program is a 2-year program, and after you graduate, you get this research experience, and that helps a great, you can directly go into a job that has research focus. And many of my master students who graduated, at least, sort of 50-50, 50% of them were directly employed by, for example, Environment Canada, Natural Resources Canada, Parks Canada, MNR, Ministry of Natural Resources, Provincial Ministry. And so meaning that, and they are doing different kinds of research. So when you get this research experience, you can be employed as a researcher, junior researcher, and then you can be promoted later on. But you can directly be employed in those labs or in those research institutes or government labs. Or if you desire, you, after master's degree, you go for PhDs. As I said, at least more than half, actually, of my master's students who conducted research with me here went into their PhD, and many of them are university professors or research administrators or researchers in various fields. So you get the basic training here. As an undergraduate, you can get that training as an undergraduate thesis student, and then you come into master's program, and then from there you go to PhD. Either you stay at Lakehead or you go anywhere in Canada or outside for your PhD. Many of my students decided to go outside Thunder Bay, going to Memorial University or say University of Toronto or other universities. And in fact, one of our students who finished his master's degree, I think he originally comes from China, in immunology, and then went to Western University in Southern Ontario. And this year, well, he published half a dozen papers after his graduation there, very, very keen. And then he was accepted in Harvard. And his research was so fascinating, I invited him to give a seminar in our biology graduate seminar. Fantastic speaker, enthusiastic, nice, polite, humble, extremely organized. And I'm not surprised that he was given a spot in Harvard. So here is an example. He started as a master's student at Lakehead, went for his PhD in Western University, and now he's a postdoctoral fellow in Harvard. And so in this biology graduate seminar, I bring professors and researchers from all over the world, particularly in Southern Ontario. I had my friend, for example, I had my classmate in Harvard. I brought him here to give a talk. I bring professors from other big places from United States to give seminars in the first year biology honors thesis course. So we expose our students to wide variety of experiences that you can have. So it widens your sort of ideas, and it exposes you to the whole world. And as I said, you can go anywhere. You are young. If you are passionate, we can train you, and then we can connect you with the rest of the world wherever you like to go.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear that our students have so much variety in the opportunities that they have, the research areas that they have, and the structure itself. On that note, I'll go to the next slide where we're going to chat a bit about those laboratories. I know we prefaced that we have quite a few laboratories and facilities. Today, we're going to highlight a few of those only. I mean, we would be here for the entire hour, potentially, if not longer, talking about all of the research facilities and research chairs Lakehead University has. But the first one we'll dive into is the materials characterization services. And so, Dr. Malik, I'll pass it over to you, chat briefly about this, and then we'll chat about another research facility, the Aquatic Toxicology Research Center. And then we'll also chat about our outdoor laboratories after that.
We have several research centers, and these are also associated with dedicated labs. So here is one where, with chemistry, biology has this facility where we can characterize different new materials, and so you can learn by working here as an intern or do your honors thesis. We also provide services outside. If there are, for example, aquatic lab facilities, people want to do their water testing, whether for pH or some kind of impurities or excessive nutrients, or maybe infections and things. So these labs are dedicated to provide a service to the community, and some organizations are providing this service to the public. They sometimes send samples, and we provide this service at a minimum cost. That we have to recover our expenses, and where we can employ a young student, for example, like her here, that her salary is going to be covered by the charge that we take, the chemicals and other facilities, equipments we have to buy. So we provide this service so that the students that are being trained here can be directly going to some of those places where there is a facility that as a business, they're providing this service. And here is a person who is directly going from this learning experience at Lakehead to a job which is very familiar to her. And so we provide community services like this, analytical services, and we train people who are able to provide that service as a manpower. So the next one probably Jordan is going to show another services. This is Aquatic Toxicology Center that more and more water bodies are having problems with all kinds of toxicological issues, whether it is from mining or agriculture, or the high level of phosphorus and nitrogen added to the agricultural feed that goes into the water, creates all kind of algal blooms and things like that. So the water become toxic. So in this lab, we get samples from wherever these problems are, and then we provide this service as to whether this water, what level of toxicity, whether it is lead, heavy metal toxicity, or microbial toxicity. And depending on what problem they have, we in this lab determine the water quality. For example, again, here, the people who are, these are our students. The picture you see, they are our students. We trained them for BSc, and then they took internship or honors thesis. Some of them sometimes can finish their master's degree and then become, one of them I know, we employed, I taught him in the first year many years ago, became the co-director of one of these labs. And he was trained as a first-year student at Lakehead and did his BSc, then did his internship and honors degree, and then here he is employed. And then it's not just, we can't employ everybody, but then we train people to be employed outside in the larger world, and they provide the service to the community or the organizations that have this toxicology related business. So we also provide service in microbial labs. For example, we have a number of research centers. We have Canada Research Chair, for example, Dr. Mike Rennie. He works. He's a Canada Research Chair in aquatic science. So he's conducting research on climate change and how by looking at the aquatic insects, we can determine how much it is warming up. One of his research areas is also microplastics. That microplastics in aquatic system is a big problem. And he has, I think he has about 15 graduate students at the moment, very large labs. And he trains people to look after the aquatic system in a natural environment, as well as fisheries, for example. If you have hatchery, we have a hatchery not very far from here near Nipigon. And the Nipigon hatchery, if the aquatic system has infections, for example, then you are in trouble. And so before it happens, the water quality and the fish diseases and things can be detected well ahead of time. And Mike Rennie's lab does just that. Microbial DNA, for example, is another thing that his lab does, that we can detect, this toxicology you can do by detecting the chemicals or say bacteria. But these days, we don't even have to go to that level. We can go even deeper. meaning that by determining the DNA of the animals or insects or microbes in the aquatic system, you can detect what had happened in the past and what is likely to happen in the future. So it's not just organismal level or molecular level we do. Nowadays, we go even beyond that. So our labs are very modern. This is a service lab, but the research labs are much more sophisticated. And we have a research we call a new facility where several labs are housed in one place. A new building we have.
It's called the Cases Building.
Cases Building.
Yes.
Cases Building. Center for Science and
Advanced Science and Engineering.
Engineering, right. So we combine science, engineering, whoever is doing high-level research. Several labs are dedicated to work together, so that you can interact with each other. And upstairs, as you said, Jordan, is our business incubation center. That discoveries that you make downstairs, and people who are discovering wonderful things, new things. You just come upstairs, have your coffee, and you talk about what you have done. And does it have a business potential? And you have all kinds of business graduates who are sitting and listening and talking, and then light bulb goes off, right? Goes on, and then and we have one professor who is now, I think it is patented. They are now doing training in breast cancer mammography, but it is a completely different training than the breast screening that we do. So this professor has discovered a new way of screening breast cancer, for example. And so this machine that she discovered, the new technique she discovered, is now going to be patented. And I think the breast cancer traditional screening is going to be a thing of the past.
Certainly. If I'm not mistaken, you're speaking about Dr. Resnick, who
Right.
was recognized for that with a graduate student by her side in helping develop that same technology.
Right.
Also,
exactly. This is her graduate students who did the discovery, and then he was employed as a postdoc, and now she has all kinds of other students and postdocs doing this work, and it is becoming more and more applied, and then ultimately the machine will be sold in the market, right?
for sure.
And so this is a business incubation that it's a success story here, and I think she has millions of dollars of grant now because it's a big thing.
Yes, for
right?
sure. I wish we could talk more about all of the research and labs we have on campus, because it's something I'm also passionate about. I know our students love to hear about all of the variety of opportunities, but another thing that I really want to focus on today during our session is our access to something we like to refer to as the natural outdoor laboratory or classroom. And so our locations either in Aurelia or Thunder Bay are really well situated to provide this perfect learning environment that is both natural and convenient to our students. And so, Dr. Mallik, maybe I'll pass over to you to talk about how our students use these natural laboratories and how our professors and our lecturers turn it into their classroom, essentially.
This is right in my alley, really, because I am a what they call disturbance ecologist, meaning that the question that I have is that we know that plants are the basis of all lives, because plants are the organisms that capture the light energy, convert that into sugar, carbohydrate, and then we all depend on that. That is a basic fact. No other organisms can capture light energy that comes from the sun and makes chemical energy. on which all life depends. Now, the question is, we have all kinds of disturbances such as forest fires, flood, hurricane. The question is, how do plants cope with all these disturbances, and how do they flourish after disturbances? And this is a subject that I study. In other words, what are the strategies of plants that cannot move around? Plants are, I mean, for animals, if there's a fire, they can run, or the birds, they can fly. But for trees, plants, they are stuck because of their roots. So the question is that how do they cope with this serious, severe disturbances such as fire or flooding or hurricane and other things? And there are many ways species are adapted to these kinds of natural events. And then they're also adapted to flourish after the fire. So much so that for fire-adapted plants and animals, periodic fire is an essential thing for renewal of the forest, renewal of the animal communities. So we can read this in textbook, but here in Lakehead, we have the opportunity to go in a forest fire area, half an hour drive, or in some cases, 20 minutes, 10 minutes drive. You can go to a thick boreal forest that had experienced natural fire. And then you can study how plants and animals are coming back after fire. Periodically, you can go there 1 year after fire, 2 year, 10 year, 100 year after fire. And you can see how after fire, they start to grow, and then gradually succession happens and you can get a mature community. Why do we do that? We like to know what is the threshold of these disturbances beyond which it can transform into another undesirable type of plant community. That is what I study in Newfoundland. And there we see, because of this fire control, we are seeing the fires becoming less and less severe. And that is creating a problem of some understory shrub becoming the dominant. So forests are converting into heathland, right? So in Eastern Canada, because of fire protection, fire suppression, forests are transforming into shrubland. And we know why, we know how it can be reverted back. So long and short of it, we study these sorts of things, and then we study them in the nature, and so that we can manage them better. And so that is the sort of terrestrial environment. In aquatic environment, Mike Rennie, for example, I said that we have this Great Lakes. In Great Lakes fisheries is a big issue. Pollution is a big issue in Great Lakes because of industrial emission. Discharge of industrial wastes is a problem. We have agricultural wastes coming into the lake. So how do all these influences the lake, and what is the fate of the fisheries, right? So if you have aerial deposition of toxic compounds, it goes into the fish, and then you are eating fish. It's get into your system, right? So lake trout, we are not supposed to eat lake trout, every week or daily, simply because it has heavy metals. So we know what are the toxicity, different types of toxic elements are in these large freshwater lakes, and what should be the limit of the fish, how big or how small fish you can consume. Because if you are consuming a very large fish, it has accumulated all these pollutants over the years. So we are not supposed to eat, it's regulated now, a very large trout. simply because it has accumulated more toxin in it. Likely also because of global warming or industrial pollution, large lakes are being impacted. So near Thunder Bay, it is actually in the border between Thunder Bay and Manitoba, we have this experimental lake area. This is the only large-scale manipulated area in the world that we have. So here and Mike Rennie used to work there. Now he's our professor here at Lakehead in the biology department. In this experimental lake area, we have many, many lakes, and we manipulate the lake water by increasing acidity, or manipulate in many different ways that we are seeing all over the world, in Western Europe, in USA, in other parts of the world, that we have this high level of phosphorus or nitrogen or heavy metal. So we deliberately increase the pH in these lakes. These are remote lakes. There is no people around there. Where in the world can you find a university where you will have access to these remote lakes and nobody lives around there? And this is this experiment has been going on since 1950s. And this is I think we have 50 lakes, 50 or 60 lakes. And this is the largest, longest term experimental, large lake manipulative experimental setup that we have in the world. And here, many of our undergraduate students start as research intern with Mike Rennie. They become honor students, master students, and he has probably 6 or 7 PhD students studying this impact of pollution in the lake. And here we are learning, again, the point I'm trying to make is that we are located in such a unique place that in the laboratory, in the university, you study the theory, you learn what is going on in the world, and you just drive down to the experimental lake area, do your studies there, and then you have your own data. And no other universities, or very few universities in Canada, that are in big cities, have this kind of opportunity to go in nature and study what is going on there. You have to travel a lot.
Yeah, so on that note, I think you really said it or you summarized that quite nicely, is the fact that both coupled with our world-class facilities in our laboratories and our research centers on campus, as well as essentially in our backyard, the perfect natural laboratory where we're able to conduct either large scale or really important research experiments and testing and all that both has an impact on our local communities, like you mentioned, but also potentially on the global community and that research across the world. On that note, we will have to move on. Just noting, we did get 10 o'clock. And so we were going to end at 10 o'clock, but we'll extend just slightly past here to wrap up the last couple slides. This slide here is career opportunities. So it goes into upon graduation. So now you've done your degree at Lakehead University, and maybe you're ready to move into the career field either immediately, maybe you'll take a year off, do some more research, whatever that might be. Where could one of these degrees lead you to? And so we've essentially organized them into 3 different industries or disciplines, you could say, is molecular biology, ecology and evolution, as well as bioinformatics. So Dr. Malik, I'll pass it over to you. We'll only spend about a minute on this slide, just so that we have an opportunity to get to some questions as well.
Right, I'll be brief. In molecular biology, as you know, people are more and more involved in sort of molecular aspects of things, whether it is in the field or in the lab situation. So we have, after getting a training, you can get a job as a cytochemist, for example. As a technologist, you can be a microbiologist, You can go to medical field as a geneticist or forensic laboratory analyst. So there is whole host of things that you can do after you are trained in molecular biology. And we have, as I said, many professors who are dedicated to lab-oriented research in molecular biology. Ecology and evolution, as I said, this is one of this is my specialization. You can get a job as a conservation biologist in the parks or conservation area. You can get a job as environmental health officer, for example. What is happening in the aquatic system? So as a health officer, environmental health officer, you can be employed there. Chemist, biochemist, botanist, how to identify plants. What is happening with your number of plants or variety of plants that are happening after a fire or your mismanagement of a natural resource. You can identify plants. Zoologists, and we have concentration of animal concentration will teach you how to do that. Marine biologist, natural resource managers, as I said, many of my graduates are natural resource managers with the provincial or federal government. Naturalists, park interpreter, for example, people go to camp in the park and these naturalists tell different stories about nature. They highlight some animals and plants in the park, and young people get excited. And so all our parks, national or provincial, have naturalists in their parks, and so our graduates go there for that kind of job. Bioinformatics is a very new thing, and this is data mining, as you know, artificial intelligence, machine learning. We have a very robust computer science department now, and it is expanding really like crazy, because we have a lot of students interested in computer science, and our computer science student number is increasing very rapidly, and we have very young faculty members, extremely enthusiastic and very talented. So training in computer science and biology together, you can get a job as a bioinformatics specialist or a programmer, because these programmers are more complicated than traditional computer programmers, because here it involves biology. So biology and computer science together, you have these opportunities as bioinformatics scientists. I'll stop there. There are many other opportunities. One thing I would say, just last thing, that when you come as a student at Lakehead, anytime in your program, if you have a question or career question or your program or your ambition, we have dedicated, very efficient student advisor. And you simply write an email saying that I'm in this year, I'm in this program, this is what I like to do, could you advise me? And you will get the soundest advice you can think of, with many opportunities and options, and you can pick which one is suited for you. So in addition to all these descriptions in the calendar of the university, we have very knowledgeable student advisor in the biology department. In fact, Dr. Carney was the previous chair of the department. So he's extremely knowledgeable, and he advises students extremely well and very, very clearly.
Awesome. That's good to hear, because of course, in today's webinar, I hope we've impressed upon our audience the variety of opportunities and unique learning opportunities that are specific and really experiential to Lakehead. And so being able to access those same opportunities is another important factor. And some students may fear, they might not have that opportunity. They might not know how to approach that opportunity, at least. And so hearing that they can connect with an advisor that's dedicated to their well-being and their assistance in that is really great. On that note, I'll chat about one of our students very briefly, and now a successful alumna, Erica Harrell here is a biology graduate. And when we chatted with Erica about her experience and then her journey into career or animal services, pardon me, she chatted about how she's always had a passion for animals and knew that one day she'd like to turn that passion into a career. As many students have a similar idea that they have a passion they want to turn into a career. And so while she was studying at Lakehead, she essentially had access to exceptional labs and the environments within those laboratories as early as her first year in her undergraduate degree, as well as the fact that she had supportive faculty and she was able to build the skill set that she needed to pursue that same career in veterinary medicine. So it really shows that she had the best of both worlds of being able to learn the theory to pursue the career that was her passion of veterinary medicine, but also she was able to access those facilities from an early outset of her education journey so that she can start practicing towards that. And with that being said, I'll head over into the questions. We have a few Q&As to answer, and then upon that, we'll have to wrap up today's session. So with that being said, the first question we have is from Anusha. It says, Professor Malik, my daughter has received a conditional acceptance in a 5-year program to do graduate biology plus bachelor's of education. So she'll be doing that concurrent degree with an education. She has to do some courses during the summer break at year 6 though, so 4 + 2 is compressed into 5. Do you think there is too much pressure on the studies? So in your experience where you've seen some of our students do our accelerated concurrent education, have you seen students in most cases be successful?
Right. This is, I think it all depends on the student. I think what, in my experience, an added stress put to students because of this online learning. You know, in face-to-face learning, if we have a problem, if a student has a problem, she or he can go to a, to a professor and explain, and then get some answers. And you can solve the problem a lot more easier with a face-to-face meeting. And online has created that extra challenge that you don't get this one-on-one meeting. I think specifically to answer your question, it will really depend on the student, how efficient time manager the student is, and how quickly she or he can learn. And then whether, taking these 6 courses or 5 courses, well, 5 courses is the normal, whether it can be handled. I think the way we do advise in this case is that our student advisor will see the progress of the students over time. Say, if the student is a 5th year or 4th year students, then we'll see how she performed from year 1 to year 4, and how many courses each year she took, and then how well she did. And then based on that, and based on her passion, as I say, after discussing, through emails, we'll provide a sort of recommendation that, you have been doing like this, and so whether it is excessive, and then, that advice will come to her, saying that whether you should continue or maybe you should take another extra term. So I don't know the specifics of this particular student, and it's a concurrent education. And is it education and biology?
I would assume so. I don't know if it was clarified. It was biology and Bachelor of Education. I think what your answer was, though, covered the question quite nicely, actually, although of course we would love to definitively say that every student will be successful in that accelerated program, it's also important that we acknowledge that our advisors are going to be monitoring each student's academic success to be able to best advise them on what they should continue on. So whether they need to add, as you mentioned, the extra term or two to take it out of the accelerated format. And with that being said, also is the fact that it speaks more to the students' ambitions and being able to cope with it. We've definitely seen our graduates succeed in the accelerated program, and that's exactly why we've created it, because we know there is that passion to do the vaster course options, so the concurrent education and the biology, as well as many other options in an accelerated format, and we've seen success in that. But it's great to hear that there's that. On top of that, there's also Lakehead University supports that are open to all students, no matter what program you're in. So whether it's the Student Success Center in their academic zone, their math center, their writing center, there's plenty of additional supports on top of having your friends, your peers, your advisors, your professors within your program helping you navigate your career. It also goes to answer the next question about whether or not Anushka has not taken her chemistry in her IB degree program. So in the beginning, how difficult will it be for her to pick up, or him, pardon me, for them to pick up this subject of chemistry?
Well, the issue here is that what level of chemistry course are we talking about here? There are restrictions. For example, if you are in your fourth year and you did not take first year required chemistry, for example, then you are not allowed to take that course in your fourth year, because you should have taken that in the first year, or you could have done in the second year. I think the required courses and elective courses are different with respect to when you should complete that, because the reason for that is that there is a reason for asking them to take first year course or second year course in those years, simply because it makes the foundation for what you would like to be in after graduation. And so, but in any case, if a student has missed for some reason a first year required course, and now in the fourth year, exceptions can be made. And usually by looking at your transcript, the entire transcript, the dean or the chair can recommend, but ultimately dean can allow that kind of exception by looking at that, everything is fine, but here is a required thing that was missed for whatever reason. But I can say that just about a month ago, or not even a month ago, 3 weeks ago, there was a case like that in biology when it was not supposed to be like that. But then the student is in their graduating year, right? And it is because of that course, he cannot graduate. And then, the whole thing, entire transcript was examined, and then an exception was made. But, there are flexibilities, but we all like to be reasonable that if you are graduating, do you have the necessary skill? Have you acquired that? And we have that responsibility that once our graduates goes into the workforce, how they perform matters to us, because, this is our reputation at, in stake, right? And so we like to make sure that, the training that we offer is showing results in real life with the employers. And so long and short of it is that, if you have a specific question, ask your student to send an email to Dr. Carney, or just email to me. And then I'll forward that to Dr. Carney. And we prefer to exchange emails rather than a Zoom meeting, because email can record the problem more, in an articulate way, and we have a document, or the advice that we are giving, you have a document that you have this problem and we give this advice. And so you can actually compare, and then if you miss something, and that's why we prefer to provide these answers through email rather than a Zoom meeting or other forms of meeting, because we might miss something, misunderstood something. And so, yeah,
I'll have Patrick actually in the chat send Dr. Carney's contact information for the parent to learn more about this particular issue, or at least address it. Yeah. And then, like you said, there can be further email communication on that line. The last question I want to answer today, and then we will have to head out because I know we've taken quite a bit of everyone's time, and I want to thank everyone for staying with us. Does Lakehead University have laboratories during the COVID-19 pandemic? The simple and short answer is absolutely. Our laboratories are still operating. And to go into a little more detail with that being said is the fact that we are following public health guidance as well as all of the requirements of our local health authorities to ensure the safety of both our staff and our students and our faculty members. That is the utmost importance to Lakehead University in preparing to bring students either onto campus or bring faculty onto campus to continue the really critical research that we are participating in that both has that local and global impact. And so, yes, the simple answer is we are certainly still operating those laboratories. We have simply modified maybe the number of people that are allowed in the laboratories at a single time. And of course, the level of interactions that we have with each other, and maybe mask wearing, social distancing. Those are the typical things that in every day now we are experiencing that, and whether you're doing it in your own hometown or your own experiences at your current institution, you're probably following something similar. We take it another level and we take it very seriously, especially here in Canada, but Lakehead really puts faculty, staff, and students and our health and safety at that most importance. Hence why we are still working remotely in most cases, at least for the staff. I know many of our faculty members and researchers are back in their offices to some extent. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining our session today. I want to remind you to follow us on our social media channels. So you can find us at Lakehead International, both on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Lakehead INTL on Twitter, and you can find our YouTube at Lakehead University. You can also head over to our website, lakeheadu.ca/tours, to explore either one of our campuses in a virtual tour. They are offered all time, all hours, so there's no appointment necessary. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home, so you get a little taste of Lakehead. On that note, though, I want to thank Dr. Malik and Patrick for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge with our audience, and I hope that our audience also enjoyed today's session. Thank you again for joining us, and I will end it here, folks. Bye for now, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for checking out today's video. If you have any questions, you can always comment below. Stay connected and follow us on our social media channels to stay informed about upcoming webinars and get an insider sneak peek of Lakehead University. See you next time.